Jezik reclined in his well-worn chair at the edge of the bustling bar, a favored spot where he could observe the eclectic mix of beings flowing in and out. His body creaked slightly as he settled back, a reminder of his age and countless travels across the galaxy. At 170 galactic years old, Jezik was considered an elder among spacers, renowned for his extensive knowledge of the sector. Many sought his advice, drawn by his tales of exploration and adventure. Tonight, stationed in orbit around the planet Miasma, Jezik found himself unsurprised when a towering, reptilian-like alien approached him. The creature stood over 2 meters tall, with a muscular build supported by 4 arms. Its tough, leather-plated torso and triangular head, adorned with 6 eyes and rows of sharp teeth, marked it as a member of the Cuter, a race known for their warlike nature and distinct appearance. "You are Jellic of the Theo," the alien stated bluntly. Jezik, sizing up the Cuter named Besom, replied with a hint of curiosity, "I am. And who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?" "I am Bum of the Cuter," came the terse response. Recognition sparked in Jezik's mind. The Cuter were seldom seen without their armor and helmets, making them difficult to identify. They had arrived in the sector 2 decades prior, known for their aggressive expansionism, which displaced the Fti race from several territories. As Bum settled beside him, Jezik noted his directness. "I understand you possess extensive knowledge of this sector," Bum stated. Reflecting briefly, Jezik answered, "Yes, I have traveled widely." "Good. You will come with me," Bum declared. Taken aback, Jezik queried, "Why in the galaxy would I do that?" "To meet my superiors," Bum replied confidently. "You will be well compensated." Financial gain had its allure, Jezik acknowledged to himself. "And how far must I go?" he inquired cautiously. "Compartment 10, Level 1, Bum responded promptly. Intrigued by the proposition, Jezik agreed, and they made their way through the station. Upon reaching their destination, Jezik was surprised by the number of Cuter present. 11 figures filled the room, though Bum's presence hinted that not all were what they seemed. Observing the variety in attire among the Cuter, Jezik realized they were effectively disguised, able to move freely without revealing their true identities. The implications unsettled him. How many Cuter lurked undetected across the sector? Bum stepped forward, announcing, "This is Jezik of Pharaoh, as ordered, Your Majesty." Jezik's breath caught as he beheld the richly dressed figure who stepped into view. The realization that he stood before Cuter royalty left him momentarily speechless. Recovering quickly, Jezik bowed respectfully. "My apologies, Your Majesty, for my ignorance." The Empress Sherpu, second wife of Emperor Anunnaki Roman IV, acknowledged his gesture with a regal nod. Jezik struggled to discern gender differences among the Cuter, wondering if they were all female, or if there was some other distinction. Grand Stratego in Shag Kush approached next, projecting authority as he activated a console displaying a sector map. Political boundaries and key locations were highlighted, setting the stage for the discussion. "We are planning a new campaign," Grand Stratego in Shag Kush explained. "We require information on potential adversaries, their military strength, alliances, and vital planets." Jezik was taken aback by the request. "I can't assist in planning an attack," he blurted out instinctively, his moral compass kicking in. Understanding his hesitation, Empress Sherpu signaled Anasa, who stepped forward. "The Empress acknowledges your reluctance," Anasa conveyed, "and offers compensation. 2 million galactic credits." The figure staggered Jezik. With such wealth, he could secure a small station of his own. Wrestling with his conscience, he reluctantly acquiesced. The Empress nodded in approval as Grand Stratego in Shag Kush pointed to a specific area on the map. "We intend to conquer these Hammonds and integrate their territory into our empire," he declared confidently. "Rumors suggest they lack a substantial fleet and are averse to conflict." Jezik's horror was palpable. "You mean to attack the humans?" he asked, ensuring to pronounce the word correctly for the Cuter. "Yes," replied Grand Stratego in Shag Kush, "in 2 standard months." The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on Jezik as he contemplated his role in the Cuter's expansionist ambitions, his mind racing with ethical dilemmas and the implications of his decision. Strategos Prime informed him. After Jezik regained his composure, He said, "No one in their right mind attacks the humans, Grand SDRC. They're in Shag Kush." Anna laughed. "Why is that? They barely have a dozen systems. We have thousands. What kind of threat could a race afraid to fight be to us?" Jezik muttered to himself, asked the Tarians, unintentionally loud enough for the others to hear, not realizing their keen hearing. "Who are these Tarians? How can we contact them?" Jezik pondered. "By summoning their ghosts?" he thought to himself. "You can't. They are extinct in this sector. There are only rumors of small drifter fleets of survivors, never staying in one place too long. And these humans are responsible. So they beat some minor power, probably only a few planets, and we're supposed to be afraid of them?" Grandstro and Shag Kush Anna scoffed. Jezik replied, "Over 80 galactic years ago, the Tarians once controlled most of this sector." Using his finger to indicate, it was 138 systems, 600 habitable planets and moons, hundreds more with vast resources to be harvested, including the dead rock we currently orbit. Jezik finished. For a moment, Jezik thought he saw doubt on some of their faces, but not being familiar with them, he wasn't sure. "We are the Krays and fear no one, especially a race afraid of war, even if they won one decades ago. Go on with your explanation as to why we shouldn't attack them," the Empress said. All of the Cuters seemed shocked that she spoke. "Your Majesty, this alien is not worthy to hear you speak," Inesa exclaimed. Grand Strategos and Shag Kushana also spoke out. "Your Majesty, forgive me, but as Second Empress, you are only here in a ceremonial role." With a glare, the Empress addressed them both. "That is usually so. But I feel this is important enough for the Emperor to hear all of it, and not just selected tidbits." She addressed the Strategos directly. "Would you like me to contact my husband, the Emperor, and see how he responds to my breaking ceremony? Especially after I tell him how you are ignoring the TN's warning?" "I like this one," Jezik thought to himself. Both of the Krays acquiesced to the Empress, looking back towards Jezik. "Please continue," she ordered. "Yes, Your Majesty," Jezik bowed and replied. "The humans are not afraid of war because of what an enemy may do. Humans are afraid of what it can make them become," Jezik started. "I had a human friend long ago who once explained it to me like this. The Tarians saw them as easy pickings." Jezik explained. The humans were new to the galactic community and had just started to expand out of their home system. When the Tarians found out just how much time had passed between the humans' first steps into space and how it took almost 2 centuries to leave their home system, they assumed they weren't very smart. "I found out from my friend later that it took them so long to leave their cradle because they had been warring amongst themselves almost the entire time," Jezik stressed. The Empress spoke up again. "So they were fighting a civil war that whole time?" "No, Your Majesty. They were never a single government in the first place. They only formed that after finding out that other races existed. A damaged ship inadvertently fell out of FTL in their system. The crew was dead, so the only source of information was the ship. They examined the ship and reverse-engineered what they found, mixed with their technology," Jellic added. "It had long been a dream of the humans to find life outside their world, so they were ecstatic to meet other races. They explored, they traded, they shared knowledge freely. So they were caught off guard when a Tarian fleet entered their home system and attacked them without warning. The humans suffered enormous casualties at first, but they weren't helpless," Jezik said. "They'd fought wars amongst themselves for almost their entire existence, and they were very good at it. But they were comparatively novices at deep space combat. It took them months to drive the invaders out, and the cost was high for both sides." Jezik paused. "I've heard rumors that Tarian survivors were traumatized by their later engagements with the humans, especially the ground forces. As a departing act of defiance, the Tarians launched a missile containing a biological weapon at Earth, the human cradle world. My human friend told me it caused an ecological disaster on their planet. Vast swaths of their planet became sterile. The biological agents were less effective against humans than the Tarians hoped. The humans had a long history of dealing with virulent and deadly diseases, which helped protect them from the biological agents. It just made them sick, but only killed the weakest of them," Jezik explained. "Unfortunately for the Tarians, this included large numbers of their youngest children. Jez continued. As my friend told it, they could forgive the initial invasion. It wasn't something they hadn't done in their internal conflicts. They might have answered the ecological devastation of their world with a punitive expedition against the Terrians, something of equivalent damage. But the Terrians killed their children by the millions, and that enraged them. Most races only have a couple of words that refer to revenge. The humans have dozens, and none of them are good, Jezik finished. The story of vendetta, known among the Terrians as a quest for revenge, involves retribution, reprisals, and brutal retaliation. It all began when the Terrians committed an act that sparked one of the most devastating conflicts on their borders, a conflict known to humans as blood vengeance. My human acquaintance explained that deep within the human psyche lies a darkness, suppressed but potent. When unleashed, it drives individuals to wreak havoc, causing destruction that can devastate countless lives. Jezik, a Terrian elder, recounted how this darkness, when unleashed across an entire human race, led to unimaginable horrors. Even with all his experiences, the atrocities humans inflicted upon each other shocked him to the core. He grimly speculated on what such darkness could do when turned against an alien race like the Terrians. The humans, he continued, incorporated Terrian technology into their own, creating formidable black warships resembling nightmarish birds. Their armor and helmets were designed to evoke monstrous faces, intended to instill terror, a form of psychological warfare. They didn't just attack physically. They assaulted the minds of their opponents, manifesting their deepest fears. This psychological trauma left Terrian survivors struggling to comprehend the human approach to warfare, deceptive, strategic, and ruthless. Initially, the humans employed hit-and-run tactics, striking unexpectedly and disappearing before the Terrians could react. However, as the conflict escalated, their strategy evolved. They launched full-scale assaults, announcing their presence with destructive force. Wherever they struck, whether military installations or civilian settlements, they left nothing of Terrian origin standing. Even abandoned colonies were obliterated, as if erasing any memory of the Terrians from existence. Jezik recalled chilling instances when the humans lay in wait, ambushing Terrian ships that arrived to survey the wreckage left in their wake. The sight of Terrian vessels reduced to debris around lifeless planets stood testament to the humans' relentless pursuit of vengeance. 5 years into the war, the humans encircled the Terrian homeworld, renamed Miasma after the conflict's end. Jezik gestured to the planet outside the window, a somber reminder of the genocide the humans inflicted upon the Terrians. With their vengeance fulfilled, the humans stepped back, grappling with the weight of their actions. They acknowledged their deeds as genocide, a term laden with historical shame and moral culpability. It marked a turning point, a collective introspection among humans about the darkness they had unleashed. They withdrew from Terrian systems, leaving behind reminders like Miasma, urging others not to provoke their wrath. Jezik clarified that the humans' avoidance of war wasn't out of fear for themselves, but a desire to shield other races from their potential for devastation. This profound guilt, rooted in their mythos, compelled annual commemorations of Miasma, not in celebration but in somber reflection. Jezik reflected on his attempts to dissuade the Terrian leadership from provoking the humans, warning them of the consequences. Yet, despite his efforts, the Terrians persisted, resulting in catastrophic losses. Many systems broke away to form a new alliance with the humans, guided by an astute empress who foresaw the futility of continued conflict. This empress, having absorbed Jezik's counsel, proposed a resolution to the humans, a pact to prevent future bloodshed. She offered her allegiance and resources, facilitating evacuations and surrender negotiations. In return, she pledged justice, offering up Terrian officers responsible for heinous acts against human colonies for trial. Jezik looked forward to seeing justice served, particularly for Grand Stratego in Shag-Kashana, who had underestimated human resolve and now faced the consequences of his decisions.